Well, it's kind of like we have at Slow Ventures. We have this. Our compliance officer is a large stuffed bear. So when we don't like things, we just forward it to the bear, and we're like, "Well, the compliance officer can't do it. It's the Costco $400 bear."
Does the bear only receive fax messages?
The bear. So I wish we've had a lot. We had actually this week. We spent a lot of time in our partners meeting discussing bear strategy, and like how to think about the Costco $400 bear and things we could do with it.
Who needs a theme song?
You know, it's a good jingle when Sam just starts off the podcast episode singing it, right?
So I want like the lead in to work for us. So I feel like if I sing it, then like we're like,
because your voice sounds so much like our jingle singer.
Yeah.
Look, I have
hi, guys.
face dysmorphia. I can't see faces. I can't hear voices. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Hey, Jess, welcome back.
Thank you.
I tried my best to fill in for you last week. I'm not sure if it was that good.
Brit.
Thanks,
How was
guys.
the DMV?
You know, I had budgeted an hour, which in hindsight was not enough time. But also I was like, I had my number. I was like in the process. This was a standard license renewal.
Oof.
And it took me 2.5 hours. So, but I loved the episode, guys. Brit, round of applause. Some very
I just figured if we talked about
issues.
TikTok and porn, someone would want to listen to it.
Question. Jess, did you have an appointment?
I did have an appointment, yes.
But you didn't do first thing in the morning? You just like went in the middle of the day?
Yes, I didn't schedule my appointment.
Oh.
Don't keep my calendar.
The only thing that I wanted Mayor Pete to fix in America was the DMV.
In hindsight, there were some lessons learned, but I will say it made me more exciting for this conversation because I missed you guys. So hello to our listeners. Hello to the Morins. A very, 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 very happy birthday to Brit Morin. And for your birthday, Time Magazine named Taylor Swift Person of the Year. So
yeah, I thought it was a pretty good present to give somebody. And
yeah.
I know not everyone maybe remembers birthdays anymore because I don't. But one thing I think about on birthdays, I get these automated messages from real people I know. I think they're automated.
You mean from Oren Hoffman?
Oren always sends one. I've got like 3 others today.
Oren is always first.
Oren, automated really knows. Like Oren clearly has a script running for anniversaries and birthdays. And it's like,
I think a lot of people do. I'm noticing this more year over year growth of automated birthday messages. Like I think is growing. And so I'm wondering how I should get in on this to send personalized birthday messages.
It's easy. You have to do a day ahead of the birthday and then 2 days ahead of the birthday. Happy birthday in 2 days.
One person that we know really well and is kind of a big deal celebrity also sent me a birthday video at like 7 a.m. this morning. And it was like a 5-second happy birthday Brit.
You know what? That, as you know, I'm very not a fan of AI companies, but if someone wants to make like $1 million next year, the automated birthday greeting AI thing where you like scan your face and voice and you just
it's a good idea.
Happy birthday.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Idea. I would pay to do this.
Of course you would. This is like a shooting fish in a barrel. If someone wants to make $3 million a year, right? Like Oren will pay you $1 million of it, you're done, right?
And I like your idea of doing it the night before. You have to like preempt the birthday because my texts are flooded right now. I haven't even gone through them. But the night before people get the most attention.
How about your half birthday? We just need to invent new free days, right?
So Brit, do you respond to every birthday text? Yes, right?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. I do too.
But it's a lot. Like I'm going to have to do it tonight.
Many, to be honest.
I'm feeling like it's adding a lot of work to my birthday where I don't want to actually be doing that much work. So I'm not sure if I should. Is it rude?
You should probably come up with a different birthday for security reasons. I
want also an AI tool that helps me respond to all my birthday messages.
Yeah.
So maybe the AI will talk to the AI at some point.
I will say to the response, I had an entrepreneur yesterday send me, which I've never, to my knowledge, had before. I was like emailing with him and he just responded with a loom. And he sent me like a 6-minute loom. I felt obligated to watch it.
Wow.
I watched it 2x. But then the thing is, I was like, I kind of got to respond with a loom. So then I responded with a loom. So it was interesting.
Can you explain to people who might not know what a loom is?
A loom, it's just an asynchronous video. They made it nice. I think they sold it for $1 billion to someone. But it's you just click one button, and instead of it being a live thing, it's a link with the video. But it's useful. I would love the AI responder.
I don't know. I hate voice notes. I think voice notes suck because you can't mark them unread. You have to be somewhere quiet to listen to them. And then I also, to your point, feel like I need to respond in a voice note. And it just takes up so much more time than scanning something and responding back really quickly.
You're such a millennial.
You can't do X, E, and just archive it. Your fingers don't work right on the keyboard.
Guys, it's amazing we function. We can't respond to birthday text, to just warm, kind greetings from our friends. I
need the bots to respond to my nice birthday messages.
It's so time consuming. That poor person.
It's kind of like we have at Slow Ventures, we have this, our compliance officer is a large stuffed bear. So when we don't like things, we just forward it to the bear. And we're like, well, the compliance officer can't do it. It's the Costco $400 bear.
Does the bear only receive fax messages?
The bear, so I wish. We've had a lot. This week we spent a lot of time in our partners meeting discussing bear strategy and how to think about the Costco $400 bear and things we could do with it.
Sorry, what's the bear again?
If you go on Costco's website for $400, there's this obnoxiously huge bear you can ship to people.
The question is, does the bear stay the same price just like the hot dogs?
The thing I'm worried about with the bear is incredible. There's clearly a demand for bears because you can't buy more than 2 on one Costco card. They figured that out. But then also they're always constantly out of stock. This is a killer item. But we've had this chief compliance bear for a long time in the Slow Ventures office that is just when we're well, we don't know if we can do this deal. We should just ask the teddy bear. But I feel like it's it's an under leveraged bear strategy. So we're thinking about what should we do with the bear? Should we I really want to put the bear in Uber X's and send it to people.
For what purpose?
Wow.
Man.
So what I'm getting is that venture capital is slow right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jess, this fits with the topic that you wanted to talk about.
We could take this pod in a lot of directions as usual. End of the year, a lot of headlines this week. Some of the things that we've seen. Well, today, Google launched a developer preview of its latest AI model, Gemini Nano. For those of you not in the weeds on this stuff, Google and everyone else are building a number of different AI models of different levels of complexity. And Nano is, as you can expect, the smaller version, mostly for AI apps for Android.
They hold 50 songs?
Yeah. So we'll circle back to this. We've got the next volley in the AI wars coming as Google is delayed on many other aspects of the Gemini rollout, including the cloud and enterprise stuff, which is quite important. We saw more layoffs, Spotify laying off 17% of the company.
Good for them.
Good for them. Say more, Sam.
Discipline. Media's a tough business.
I also love that they timed it perfectly with Spotify Wrapped.
Yes.
Yeah, there's here's your wrap. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. You're wrapped at the company now too. Do you think they send them all a goodbye? It's
wrap? The wrap. You're like, oh, this is sweet. I got my annual performance wrap.
Here's what happened in your 3 years at the company.
Pretty final. That's pretty final.
Why is my theme pink?
Also, more in media news, Disney has begun acquiring the rest of Hulu from Comcast, which I don't know is the most earth-shattering deal in the world, but in media circles and big media where there has not been a lot of action, this has been
that's kind of an echo story from the past.
Multi-billion dollar kind of negotiation over the value, which of course gets to the value of streaming in general. Big question going into the new year, how these big media companies are going to, if they're going to make the economics work, how they're going to make it work. We've got more bad news in venture capital land.
We do.
Information reported this week that OpenView, a Boston-based firm, is essentially shutting its doors for a variety of issues. A story that definitely resonated, I'll say. I think there are a lot of people wondering about sort of the fate of firms in this drought. I've also got some book recommendations, but we don't have to start with those. So where do you guys want to start?
Well, and also the information turned 10, and you have some interesting learnings, I'm sure, of your information wrapped 10 years.
Information wrapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
We just published minutes ago the top 10 stories from the last 10 years.
There it is.
Ooh.
Well, per year. It's 100
So 100 stories.
Oh, that's a lot.
What's number one?
You guys have, how many do you think you've read? The friend question.
At least 50%.
I've probably read all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've probably read
Dave is lying. He has not read all of them.
I read the information every day.
Jess, it's a very easy thing to check.
I don't need to check.
I have my bots read them for me and synthesize them on Bard.
What was number one?
By year.
Well, what was number one of all time?
I could tell you. I don't know if I didn't get to that
Sam.
level of analysis.
I'll pull it up. You want me to pull it up?
Sam, it may not be something I want to share publicly, so don't share it.
Okay, fine.
Or it could be. I don't know.
Well, that's why they tune into More or Less, Jess. We get the real shit out over here.
You guys are getting the back channel.
Yeah, come on, you can tell us.
This is definitely, you see the different eras. You see the WeWork, Travis era, all these startups that were trying to challenge the big guys and the big companies and be the next big breakouts, all the money funding into them. They, of course, fizzle. The sort of emergence of ByteDance, TikTok, complications with China is a big theme. And then I'll say, when I look back, it's just remarkable to me that the industry has gotten so much bigger. I think I pulled the numbers for our subscriber call. We were top 10 tech company market cap 10 years ago. I think it was 1.7 trillion, and now it's about 12 trillion. It's just become the market in such a big way. And the big guys are still the big guys. So I think, I'm curious what you guys think, that kind of the resilience and growth of Apple, Amazon, Microsoft is really a very dominant story over the last 10 years.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it ties back to the Gemini today in many ways. Google's fucking bringing it. This is insane. I think that I'm an ex-Googler, so caveat it with my bias there. But I've been long Bard. Zoogler. I've been long on Bard and Google's AI strategy for a really long time. And I think what they've done with Gemini is very impressive. So
where's your little spinny hat?
I do have a spinny hat.
She probably does still have it.
I gave it to my kid. Ansel has it, actually.
Ansel has it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that what you get in your first day, or
you have to wear it to the first Friday, all hands, and then
got it.
They cheer you on, aka make fun of you. But anyway,
So Brit, what impressed you the most that you've seen so far? And obviously it's early.
The essence of Gemini is this idea of multi-modality AI, and the idea that it's now finally 90% of sort of capability, and it outperforms humans. So the human percentage was 86.4% as far as the human expert scale. Gemini is now 90%. And they call it—
This sounds like a made-up statistic.
An MMLU, massive multitask language understanding, to test the knowledge and problem-solving abilities of AI models. So it can do things like use visualizations. You can put your hands in the screen and say, you could play paper, rock, scissors, and it can actually guess what you're going to do next based on your last 10 moves. It does all these
it's like billions of dollars of research to beat you at rock, paper, scissors.
But just the idea, it can use sound, it can use sight, it can use text.
H100s.
It makes you wonder what all the capabilities will look like. It can create code.
What they launched isn't multimodal yet, is it? You can't do images.
They're showing. I mean, I don't know whether it's launched or not. They've already integrated it into Bard as of today, and obviously the developer tools are live, I believe. And all the demo videos they're showing. That's the main thing they're showing, is the multimodal.
But there's a difference between what they show because people want to see it in a demo video and what's actually useful.
Yeah. I think what you can use today is this nano version. Anyway, they're tipping their hat.
Yeah, the nano, the pro, and the ultra, right? So I don't know if they're all available today, but
they sound like iPhone models, seriously.
They sound like cameras.
It's like my AI has 3 cameras.
Or was the nano an iPod? It was an iPod.
Yeah, that was the joke we were making earlier.
Dave tested it with our show notes and found it to be much better than the other.
It looked
platform.
awesome. The show note thing was sick. Dave, how did you do that? Did you just literally point it at the YouTube and you were just like, what? Give me show notes for this YouTube?
No, it was even more impressive than that. I just asked the new Gemini model the question directly. And
which was what? Explain the question.
Yeah.
You told it to generate a transcript. Oh, yeah.
And that was a good transcript too.
Yeah, well, I had it generate the transcript. The first transcript was cool. It was actually much more comprehensive. It was written kind of like it was like an essay with call outs and stuff. And then I asked it, can you turn these into show notes for YouTube with the perfect timestamps for a YouTube description? And then it generated the one that I showed to you guys.
Did you then ask it to like come up with a bunch of marketing copy and like
the primary use case for AI is podcast show notes, but
no,
Absolutely.
it's rock paper scissor. It's rock paper scissor.
But Brit, I think you
And
raised
tic-tac-toe.
I mean, it was always ridiculous to count Google out in this. Like, of course, they're going to build really interesting stuff.
Who counted them out? Who's counting them out?
A lot of people
counted them out.
Oh, they're dumb.
Did you look at the stock price when, OpenAI was doing its releases? And did you like see all the people calling for Sundar's head? I mean, or a lot of people counting them out, right? And now there's still a lot of reasons and questions to ask, including if this technology does take off in a certain way, what it means for Google's core business, right? So I think a more interesting question is sort of Google's AI strategy in light of that. And also, again, what are the ultimate use cases and what do they replace or not? But, they've got amazing technologists over there, the kind of union of the DeepMind group and Google Brain, seems all things considered to kind of have worked.
I do think it's going to be really hard with this stuff to trade the news. Like, here's the upshot. People are very good at making demo videos. And so the reality is everyone's going to be putting out demo videos and look cooler and cooler and have nano. And I guess we're now going to accept that Bard is an okay name for something. We're just going to kind of like roll through a bunch of marketing. And it's going to look super shiny. And it's going to look cooler and cooler. Everyone's like, oh, this one's winning, that one's winning. It's like, look, we'll see in 5 years. I think the real story is they're obviously deeply committed. And I'm really curious how the enterprise revenue stacks up, what developers choose. I'm really curious about how people end up thinking about, especially on the enterprise level, saying, look, post AI shenanigans with OpenAI, just being like, look, we're obviously going to use like multiple of these things and just be distributed. It's, again, I'm of the mind that this is all really cool and we'll go into the ether and we'll make everything a little bit better. And I'm super psyched that our show notes can be auto-generated because those suck. But like, I don't know. I have trouble getting really excited about the shiny announcements. Like, if nothing else, Silicon Valley is very good at shiny announcements now.
Well, let me push you, Sam. So the other interesting announcement from the Google world this week, which is got a little bit less fanfare, but I think was far more interesting, was that DeepMind put out a blog post. I think it was about 7 days ago. It was the 29th. And they said that their AI tool, which is called Gnome, found 2.2 million new crystals, including 380,000 stable materials that have never been discovered before. And they said this is the equivalent of nearly 800 years worth of knowledge.
Yeah, that's sweet.
All right, crystal question. What are we going to do with these crystals?
Meditate, Jess, obviously.
Yeah, we're going to meditate. We're going to, probably fly.
Our skin is going to look amazing, obviously.
Everybody's so focused on the language models being God. I think these crystals are going to be the thing that...
The crystals are the real gods we will worship.
Come on.
It's like, the question is only will there be multiple crystals we worship or we worship one crystal? And that will be thousands of years of religious wars.
Isn't it about the metals and the crystals?
One crystal to rule them all.
Yeah, Dave, I really think that's a really good elevation of like reminding us what the value actually is here. It's like the bio stuff is obviously sweet.
The science is amazing.
Protein folding, just like, yes to all that shit, right? Yes to crystals, yes to all the fun stuff you can do there. And then like you're going to have these wars over who makes better show notes for podcasts. And like the marginal value of that goes to zero because they'll all be kind of fine.
I mean, this post goes even further. When you get down to the bottom of it, to the thing that nobody even noticed, it's sort of like a footnote. They're like, oh, and by the way, in partnership with the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory, we also published this other paper, which if you click in and go look at it, the Lawrence Laboratory has created, they've taken a 6-axis gimbal arm and they've created this autonomous material synthesis lab where they're taking all of the output from DeepMind and then they're literally using robotics to generate as many of these materials as possible, which is crazy.
Totally. And when you come back to the bio, people always worry about AGI. You know my views on it. Again, I'll say, as I always caveat, there are some people who are doing serious real work on it. There's a lot of charlatans. But in the
this stuff's not messing around.
No, this is not messing around. It's like in the AI is far more like kill us. And like DeepMind comes up with some sweet new like biology thing and some 18-axis gimbal builds it and it like kills all of us that way than like through something else, right? Like, so
Yeah,
it's all fun and
sure.
games.
I guess I'm just really inspired by this to take the
Me too.
to
It's
take
great.
the more
It's a great way
position.
to go
It's like,
down.
wow, like I don't know, Sam, we could have a new Gore-Tex and we could ski
You
in
literally
far
brought
less
it back to a
clothing.
ski analogy, Dave. That's what you're excited about?
Yeah, I don't
A
know.
new Gore-Tex.
Show notes and like better water repellent.
Yeah. Or, it's just like there's serious shortages in battery materials. We've got problems there. We've got problems with the entire electricity pipeline, transformers. And there's all kinds of issues across the entire energy delivery pipeline. And so, like, does this make that more efficient? I mean, I think they actually said, I'll have to see if I can find it, but it looks like they actually believe some of these materials do have, not just some, like many, many, many have superconducting properties. So
So back to last summer. New superconductors.
Whatever happened to that? Have we found the
Yeah.
superconductors?
Fake.
It was fake.
It was fake.
It was fake?
Well, it wasn't like fake. I don't think it was faked. Like, I don't think it was a fraud. I think it was just
Okay.
turned out to
Jess,
not
I would
be
like to
real.
make a podcast show request, which is we revisit some of our
Please.
more or less votes 6 months later and determine who
I
was
love
right.
that. We also need more votes. We have
Yeah.
we have to keep reminding ourselves to vote on things. So okay, so AI, Gemini. I mean, if anything, this just like to me shows that aspects of this technology are going to get commoditized very quickly. Like we've got Elon and XAI making similar claims and similar charts about similar performance levels. I mean,
And don't forget Meta. I mean, like, I don't know. Have you guys played with the WhatsApp thing yet?
No, I heard about it. I just haven't
It got
gotten to try
messaged
it
to
yet.
me. It got advertised to me in like an upgrade to WhatsApp.
What is it?
It's
Will you
good.
explain for everyone?
It's just ChatGPT, but in WhatsApp.
Oh.
But it's
I
like
thought it was
good.
channels. No, it's
Yeah,
different.
you just click at the new AI chat. You pick the little meta guy. I guess you can pick, I don't know, like Snoop Dogg if you want. I didn't do that. And like, you just ask it.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
played
wow,
with the bots. I don't understand them.
forget the bots. I mean, I think the bots are an interesting strategy intellectually. I'm not sure that they're good bots.
They
but
clearly
like,
don't work. Yeah.
But the actual just meta is like, yep, this is totally commodity. Answers are fine. Right. And then you're like, hey, I just saw like Meta launched this draw thing, imagine.meta.com. It's great. You just like sketch something. You're like, I'm trying to make a skier with some trees. And it's like, yep, good. As expected, the path of commoditization on this stuff is so fast. It's all fine. Right.
Well,
and it's
Sam,
gonna be
I even saw, I posted in the back channel that graphic of where all of the Nvidia shipments are going.
Yes.
And I think if you were to ask somebody, if we would just ask that question on this pod, who do you think is buying the most Nvidia chips? And I think based on the public discourse, people would say something like, well, it seems like probably Microsoft and OpenAI, and then they'd say something like Tesla and Elon. But actually, it's Meta and Microsoft buying more than everybody else combined. And Tesla is actually the smallest consumer, which means that, Elon's kind of, I don't know, cosplaying building a AI company on the side on top of like, everybody else in between. It's just like, it's actually a shocking difference in terms of scale. And that Meta is actually way ahead.
Which is interesting, right? Because everyone's trying to order them too. So that's another. I have a question for you product people, right? So if we think the technology is commoditizing and we're seeing AI pop up and things ranging from chatbots to line drawings, what would be your strategy? I guess it depends on which company, but take any of the big tech platforms. Do you rush to roll out the like entertaining, whiz-bangy AI thing that someone else is going to copy? And why? Like, is that because you have to for consumer engagement, or what's your AI rollout strategy?
Which company? Yeah.
Which
Google?
scale are we talking about? Yeah. What are we running? Big companies or startups?
You're running Google or Meta.
Well, Meta, I mean, we talked about this, I think, a little bit on the last pod, and I'm really into this, because I think like AI augmentation with the fundamental thesis that people are very lonely and they don't get enough feedback. The number one problem is people don't want to post things, or like, because like the reality is like they're like,
this was your like my wife's bot
good
thing.
idea.
Yeah,
that felt like a burn when I was listening to it. I don't even post that much, but okay.
The basic point is like, I think that this idea, like I've said this before, which is like the two products that I think make deep social sense in the pure Meta version, not the Meta is a $1 trillion platform. There's a lot of stuff you do with it, but the product side of Meta is very simple to me. One is this idea that the future of networks, you'll be asking, hey, who do you want to follow you? Who do you want feedback from? There are just mathematically not enough people in the world to give you feedback all the time. So if you can start mixing in bots that like make you happy, comment on your posts, kind of like fluffers, in your comments.
Fluffers. That's a term that I did not know, by the way, until a few years ago.
But you need some comment fluffers. AI comment fluffers is like absolutely a thing when it comes to social. There's like all sorts of like hooks that make sense. I do think the synthetic.
But Sam, are you buying the most GPUs in the world to deliver on that?
Easy. That's like, you could just like, honestly, that's easy shit on a relative basis. We all know the fact that at $1 trillion platform scale, the reality is Meta's not doing this stuff for that. That's table stakes. It'll happen. The product teams will get there. Same with the ads. It's so obvious the ads will get so much better and more targeted. That's just table stakes. It doesn't matter whether Meta does it or API partners do it and push them in. But then the thing is like, look, if you really believe there's a next generation product here, you do a bunch of research because you have an infinite budget to try to figure out, things that are beyond the scope of what you do today. And whether that's weird shit you need to make AR work someday, or whether that's, like other next generation platforms that are hard to visit. I think a lot of that just goes into that type of stuff.
Well, but if you're Meta, the open sourcing of all the AI stuff and the buying all of the GPUs strategies seems at odds to me. Like, it's much easier for me to answer your question, Jess, if I'm running Google.
Why do you think that's at odds? Isn't that like exactly what you want to do, which is you like open source it all? You say, look, if you want to improve our ad system, great.
Yes.
It helps us either way. It's fine. And then you buy all the GPUs so that when you have your open source model, you want to run it, you still have to come back and use me.
Yeah, but
they don't have an enterprise business.
Yeah, they don't run an enterprise cloud business.
I agree they don't today.
Yeah.
And I think what if they did ever, it would look different, right?
It would be they're going to run an enterprise.
No, not at the commodity level that like Google or Amazon does, I would assume. But I think when you think about saying, okay, are there a bunch of, again, like think about an ecosystem of social bots that exists in the world that like are open source and you can script, you want to host somewhere and like have social interaction. I mean, this is a far out. This is not like tomorrow. This isn't the obvious.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like that's the strategy. It seems to me like it has more to do with, like you said, AR, VR, sort of future cases that have little to do with the existing business model.
I think you're probably right? Which is like we have so much cash and profitability, and it's important that you're ahead of the next platform, and you have infinite runway to plow money into figuring it out.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're Google, what do you do? Like, what do you roll out?
I think Google's a much easier, and maybe you guys wrote a piece or someone, but like it seems a much easier strategic choice to me, right? Like your position in the world and your, infinite money tree depends upon people typing into this, the one big bot, whatever they call it, the one big box. Yeah. Just, there's a name for it. And then it's the 12 blue links.
Okay, keep going.
The 12 links, right, that come out. And this is the way that people use Google. And their entire advertising model is based on that people are telling them their exact intent. And so if that is being threatened by another box somewhere that is, becoming more useful for answering the same questions, then it's like a literal existential strategic crisis. And so you've got to move really fast.
But at the same time, you have to move fast to improve the ad quality and the ad targeting too, which they've done. So there's two-sided markets here. Like if most of the revenue is derived from people doing searches, but it's because they have all these advertisers who are having relevant ads placed next to them. Like what they've done now is created better ways to write those ads, to create image ads, to create video ads, to really get in front of the right people at the right time with the right message.
They perform really well for us, by the way. The best part of our small paid advertising budget is Google by a long shot.
There's a longer conversation there because Google, the attribution thing is always very difficult with Google.
This is what people always tell me. All my ads the attribution, I don't know. It looks good. And like we improved our SEO a lot and it's helped the business. I mean, it's.
I do think it's a non-trivial.
Google works.
It's a non-trivial user experience question. Sam, you might be right that the box might not change. You might still use it, but what it looks like once you hit enter is actually a deeply different question.
I agree. I'm just saying
that kills the news business right there. So, or it kills 75% of the news business, right?
Yeah, Brit and I saw I can't remember what it was called. Somebody showed us a new I don't know, some new startup doing big model stuff, and they had a kind of a novel interface for this where they were showing the different links that are part of the answer, and they were showing it across the top. It was a novel interface I hadn't seen before. I don't know if it's the one that's going to work, but I think there's still a lot to be figured out there, and I would be pretty worried and trying to iterate pretty fast.
I mean, the thing that's disrupted the Google search box and the experience has really been Amazon, because people stopped searching, or they search less for commerce queries on Google because they search on Amazon, right? And that hits Amazon, that hits Google's core business and all those sort of shopping intent driven searches. I haven't seen any evidence that the chat bot is necessarily going to replace that. I mean, it's very early and we don't know, but it's interesting when Chat GPT, you can see now, you ask it something and it will tell you like what it's doing. Almost, I need the transparency. So it says like searching the web or like pulling data. And it's so funny because I actually
but that's almost certainly exactly like the Pizza Hut timer. You know about this?
No.
This is like this famous thing where it's Domino's. Sorry, it's not Domino's. It's Domino's, not Pizza Hut. Where like they had forever, they made this whole marketing campaign about how they had this super fancy thing where like you submitted your order and then it would be like cooking the pizza being like, and like they basically had, everyone was like, oh, this is so amazing. Like they have this whole instrumented machine to tell you exactly where your pizza is on its way to you. But obviously it turned out it was all bullshit. It was just
everyone
like
does
a little,
this.
like,
Instacart does this.
thing.
DoorDash does this.
I know, but for Dom, they like really leaned into this as like a cool thing and everyone loved it. And it turned out to be completely fake.
Like it felt, and again, I think ChatGPT is like, they're attempting some sort of like attribution. It felt like a sort of a haphazard concession to like all these sites whose content they're stealing. I don't know. That was my opinion.
I think they're just slow and like are trying to make it feel like it's not slow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I will also say that ChatGPT could not, I wanted to compare market caps, most valuable 10 public tech companies 10 years ago and today. And ChatGPT just could not do it. And I was able, I needed to do it in 2 steps in BART. I had to like get the lists and the market caps. Then I actually just put it into sheets and added them up. But I was like, this is structured data, people.
That's the point. Is it doesn't for them? That's not how it works. But I was very upset because I asked for the list of the most delicious baby animals, and it told me it wouldn't tell me for ethical reasons. Which I was like, what? Like you've gone too far, ChatGPT.
That's very appropriate.
What on earth? Was this when you were doing your fast?
This is what you were searching while you were on Prolon.
This is what happens when you fast, Sam.
No, but I did buy you one of your Hanukkah presents during my fast, and I'm very proud of it. And you're going to know that I ordered it during a fast.
Is it like tubs of ice cream? Because I would love that. I would love to talk a little bit about VC, guys. Let's just like do the temperature check. Where is it at? You know, we have the collapse of this firm. Again, you know, individual firms, individual set of issues, but like the IPOs were supposed to come, didn't really come. We're seeing some M&A. But like
crypto's back-ish.
Crypto's party time, crypto.
Okay, let's talk about that. What do you mean back?
Well, all I know is the other day I was on Twitter, and whenever crypto is doing well, hundreds of people start GMing me GM.
Yeah.
Oh God, Sam got canceled for GM. His GM.
We need a GM.
Opinions.
We need a Sam's GM like weather vane.
I'm not there yet, but I'm almost at the point where I just could sell whenever I start getting too many GMs. Because basically this is like many years ago when crypto was ripping. I'm like a huge crypto fan, huge bull, big investor, very proud of the work we've done in the space, really believe in it. But I think the good morning thing, some of the crypto community memes.
So for those of you who have the fortune of never having to recognize this, there's a moment where crypto people they say GM, meaning good morning to each other. And it's a salutation.
It's very just friendly.
Like, what is that?
Here's the thing. No, it's not. This is my point from back in the day is crypto is like really important technology and it's great, but it has like a lot of technologies like AI, a lot of cult-like tendencies. Mm-hmm. And there's like never going to, like not going to
I would argue, Sam, that it has a cult multiplier because
maybe,
you know, Web 2 and social were hype generating technologies where people got really, really excited. And then the technology itself made even more information spread. So people got even more excited. AI has that same factor. The thing about crypto is money's attached to every single thing, right? So it's like an even more bonus multiplier on the hype.
I actually think it is fine, but it's a net negative that it has this liability around like cults from my perspective, because it causes a lot of the bullshit hype and a lot of people to lose a lot of money. Like the NFT thing was obviously, I'm happy to say we stayed out of it. It's obviously fucking stupid, right? And that was like all cult bullshit. And so crypto has a lot of cult tendencies.
There's no other cults in crypto?
No, there are a lot of other cults. There are a lot. I mean, Elon runs an entire cult-based stupid coin. Like, there's a lot of cults in crypto, and like the thing about them is that there's the fundamentally real stuff of crypto, and there's the cult crap and good GM. So saying GM to each other, or this dumb NGMI not going to make it, like making fun of people for being out of the cool clubs kid. It's all BS. But I, years ago, as this was running, like made the hilarious / unintentional mistake of pointing out to the crypto community that GM, so I was like, GM is stupid, and got like thousands. People started a meme coin specifically off of this, making fun of me, which I'm happy to say I profited on a little bit.
I bought that meme coin and made some money.
But the basic point is like, so it's funny. So now it's mostly died down, but like every once in a while, these crypto kids will like remember that I hate GM as crypto's ripping and they feel rich and decide to DM me GM a lot. And so I know it's time to sell.
Oh, well, I see.
I will say, I think the more serious answer to the question is that we're now in the phase of crypto where we're starting to connect these technologies to the real world in a more meaningful way. I mean, I just did a crypto deal about a month ago, and we're starting to see the underlying technologies be applied to various different areas where you get real world use cases, and the end consumer actually has no idea that it's even crypto. And to me, like, that's the thing that I'm most excited about. Even Sam, during the NFT wave, I was always saying to people that NFTs are like MP3s, where way back in the day when MP3s showed up and podcasts and all this stuff, people would constantly say the word MP3, MP3, MP3. Today, when you like play a song on Spotify, you have no idea what the file type is, and it all just works in the background. It's a really, really advanced MP3, but in the future, what an NFT was last year will, be some big part of a CRM system. And, that's like going to be great. Nobody's going to know the better.
100% with you that the fundamental idea of an NFT is a valuable abstraction, right? And like, it's a valuable thing. I think what I'm talking about specifically is just this, like, this moment where everyone thought we're going to recreate an entire alternative asset ecosystem of equal value in pixel stupid images in the metaverse, right?
Sure.
Dave, I'm interested in what the real world use case is, because this seems a question a lot of people are excited about. Maybe it's
one of them. I think of it as CRM 3.0. We've talked a little bit about this on past pods, but there's a lot going on in creator land, and in particular in fandom right now. Like Taylor Swift's Person of the Year. Why is that? She's got one of the biggest fandoms in the world. I got really excited this year because my Boulder, my university, hired Deion Sanders as the football coach and lit up the fandom.
You've brought it up a few times.
Yeah, and the fandom was lit up in a way that it never has been before. The problem is, in any of these cases, can these artists sell a ticket to somebody, sell merch to that same person, connect with that person online, and can all of those different disparate data points be connected into some kind of a system where the artist or the person who's at the top of the fandom offer something to those people that identifies them in the ecosystem as a bigger fan? Like, that's the simplest way that I like to think about it. And the answer is no. Like, we haven't actually developed, like, the internet thus far has not developed.
There used to be cookies.
Yeah, there used to be cookies, but, we thought social networking might do this, didn't. And the reality is, a wallet address, whether or not the user knows they have it or not, is a really good way to do this. And as are many of the different crypto abstractions. So that's just one.
And it's
really
happening in real time. Like, Selena Gomez literally launched this past week or two with Rare Beauty, which is her beauty brand. And so her audience, her fans are now able to sort of buy different things, show up to her shows, all of these different actions.
Why
they don't even know it's
for that?
Crypto? But because they're able to sort of trace all these fan engagements across using blockchain technology to sort of verify them among different types of merchants and multiple purchases, and then offer them rewards, right? Which is just a new type of loyalty program.
Oh, I see.
Part of the real answer for crypto for those types of use cases is, I think, pretty simple, which is everyone will want to be the CRM of record for that. but no one wants that person to be the CRM of record for that, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically just like a standoff where it's like, yes, Salesforce would love to do that business. Facebook would love to do that business and be the wallet provider or the identity provider for this type of stuff.
Yep.
But if you're an artist, or like the reality is to get all the tools and different avenues to play together, no, everyone will be like, well, I'm not going to let you own it. But if no one owns it, then maybe we'll be okay and we can connect some things we otherwise. So it's actually, ironically, it's actually more of a business development hack than it is anything else. That's why you need crypto.
PayPal own it.
They'd love to, but no one's going to let them own it. No one's that stupid.
Yeah, I think one of the big things here is creators aren't stupid anymore. Creators aren't going to build audiences and then have to rent it back from Facebook or rent it back from Twitter, right? Like they want to be able to not just speak directly to their audience, they want to be able to speak directly to subsets of their audience that are based on many, many different actions that have happened.
And look, there are places like, the reality is, you talk about like crypto, not crypto use cases. People used to love pitching the like tickets you can move around without an intermediary, and they're crypto tickets when you buy something at a concert. The reality is that Ticketmaster locked up that market. We'll see whether they stay locked up in that market. The app is fine. You get your tickets. You want to send them something, you send to their email address or phone number. It's like, it's fine. And it's like a monopoly and it works. No one likes that, but like from an experiential perspective, it just does what you'd want it to do. I think everyone would prefer it to be an open system. Is not going to happen. And so there are a lot of other areas where I think the open system is strictly worse for any one use case. But if you have a very combinatorial thing across a bunch of verticals or whatever, right, where like you basically can't organize a winner, then like the neutral party wins, right? And that is kind of the good news about crypto now, and I'll talk my own book on this for a second, as a seed investor, is like it actually works, right? Like Solana as an ecosystem can actually do this now, which even 2 years ago it couldn't. Like no one really could. I'm very short the Ethereum world. I'm very long Solana. Same. It's a personal book.
Just to put that on record. I agree with you completely.
On the record.
But the difference is before these were all ideas that like were kind of cobbled together, but theoretical. And now it's like, this stuff is like, you now get crypto pitches. I'm sure the Morins do as well, where it's actually great. The pitch is a good business pitch. And it's not like, well, it's crypto. It's like the crypto is just infrastructure. It's the same thing like people who like pitch a business and it happens to use AI, but it's not about AI. It's not like you have to like, we're not an AI business. We're not a crypto business. We're just a business, right? And it just happens that these rails work.
Yes.
So how are you guys feeling about tokens?
Which tokens?
What do you mean? What clarify the question.
Well, but okay. So those are there's a category of startup that's using blockchain, very, very effectively, right? There are also, are you seeing new companies that want to create new tokens?
So for many years, there was this kind of question about how to capitalize and how to value crypto companies, right? And so there's a lot of different forms of papers that were sort of, are we financing a token? Are we financing an operating company? Is there a token warrant? There's like all this complexity. It's all basically standardized at this point, right? Which is you're buying equity with a token warrant, because some of these companies might create a token at some point as part of their business model, and you should own your pro rata part of it. But it's not necessarily core to what they do. But you'd be really stupid to not have a token warrant based on history we've all, unfortunately, very firsthand experienced, right? As a seed investor in Ripple, as a seed investor, a lot of things I can tell you a lot. I have a lot of missing zeros on my net worth for missing out on some of that. Luckily got it right in some places as well. So that's all standardized and does exist. Then there's like, what things do you want to own? I mean, for me, like Bitcoin, again, I've owned it for over a decade, and like it's very obviously worth owning from my personal perspective. I guess I'm supposed to say this is not financial advice or something stupid, but like it's clear. And then again, I'm like
the bear says it's clear.
I never understood. People anyone who has in their Twitter bio, like not financial advice, you like immediately unfollow, right? You're just like,
you only financial advice. Are there interesting new classes of startups that comprise tokens?
Yes. But they're not very many. There's one that's going to launch in January I'm excited about. There's a handful out there, but we are long past the era of everyone launches a stupid token, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Before we wrap, so Brit, what are you doing for the birthday? As Dave, you got some
tell me, Dave, what's going on for my birthday?
Well, for Brit's birthday, she calls the shots, and I think
Just for her birthday or just general?
Well, it depends on the day, Sam. Some days I call the shots.
Thank you, Sam. You understand the family
the
dynamics.
days that I choose. Yeah.
Really? The days that
we're about to go through marriage therapy on our podcast. This is great. I love it. Yeah, that's fine. I'm open to it.
I think we're having a family night, right, Brit?
I'm going to pick the movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Guys, why are you all wearing black? You notice that? Everyone's in black but me.
I don't know. It was a very rainy day today.
Gray day. I mean, look at your background. Like, it is a gray day out in the burbs.
Brit had an amazing rainbow jacket on earlier.
It's
I don't know what happened to it.
I was hoping you'd wear that. I was hoping you'd wear that. I know from time to time we like to give media recommendations on the pod, and I am reading a book that I'm quite into, and I think every listener more or less could benefit from.
Cool.
And it's called The Organized Mind. Have you guys heard of this book?
Interesting.
I got it in some feed a few days ago, but it's from, and I should remember the author, but it's
I like this.
famous
Thinking Straight in the Age of Information Overload.
I need this for sure.
Daniel J. Levitin.
He's written other famous books about psychology.
I will look it up.
Yeah, I know that name.
Like the Habits book and all that kind of stuff.
Successful Aging. This is your brain on music. The Field Guide to Lies.
Read this one. I think it's quite good. I'm only like Kindle 10% into it, so I don't. But I think
that's probably all you need, because most of these books tell you everything in the first 5 pages and then just repeat themselves.
Yeah, and then you can have the LLM summarize the rest for you.
Yeah, well, I read the 10-point summary somewhere else, and I was like, I need all of these things. But it basically is taking, biology and psychology about how our brains work, and then pointing out why that is not adapted to the digital age and things like multitasking, and kind of puts that in the arc of history where like humans developed, we are capable of developing new tools and modalities for kind of reconciling our neurons with the modern world. But like the last time we did it was the invention of language.
Yeah.
So like it takes a very long time. And I suggest this book to those who are into nonfiction and such things. And I think it's going to get into some tactics and things like that as well. But I find it quite interesting. And those it is helping me understand those moments where I really feel like my brain is turning to jello, because it is literally, the system is not designed for the systems that we live in today, to state the obvious.
I agree with you.
It's kind of fascinating.
No, and I noticed the change year over year, not just because I'm a year older. I think it's because there's so much more information flooding you all the time.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse and worse.
Real.
I mean, basically, and I don't want to give away anything, but like give away our brains. But, our brains are designed to focus on one task at a time, and decisions completely overwhelm our brains.
Yeah.
So decision making is something that just taxes our brain, and our brain doesn't prioritize decision making. Like, chemically speaking, decisions are decisions and flooding the whole system.
This is why every date night I try to get Brit to not talk to me about decisions.
No, this is called Brit turns date night into the family ops meeting. And it's the only time of the week I have to ask him for his opinion, or else it's just the default Brit decides.
This, for what it's worth, we know many couples for whom this is an ongoing debate. Is our date night an ops meeting, or is it a date?
We have the ops meeting at dinner and the date after dinner, if you know what I'm saying.
That actually is. We should write a book called "Is Our Date Night an Ops Meeting or a Date?"
Can we please do this?
Balance.
Let's write this with AI.
I think we can have this book published by tomorrow.
One thing I think is so romantic is when a man can make a nice decision about his childcare schedule and preferences and travel.
Okay, on this point, I also have a book recommendation, Jess. I've got a new book.
Are you writing it right now?
No, but it's kind of similar in theme, which is I've been reading David Brooks's new book called How to Know a Person. And I find it to be absolutely a lovely book. And it's very similar.
Is that like the Shakespearean no, or like a modern no?
Modern no. I think it's really great, especially in the context of the information environment that you're just talking about. He gives a lot of practical advice for just how to develop skill in building deeper connections in all aspects of life. And I've found it to be like a really wonderful read. He's a great writer, but I also think it's a key skill set that a lot of people, particularly younger people, are missing these days post-pandemic.
Guys, the More or Less Book Club is going to be on our also 2024 resolution. We're going to get a website and we're going to have book club links.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, are we doing resolutions and predictions?
My big thing for 2024 is I really want to have one ad I get to read per show, whether or not they've paid us.
You can read any ad you want.
What's the ad this show,
you.
Sam?
I know. I desperately want to like be getting ads from other podcasts that they didn't pay for products.
Would
that
you do
did
an ad
not
for the
pay us.
Cybertruck after this past week's demonstration?
Oh, we didn't talk about the Cybertruck at all. Oh.
Okay, let's wrap with the Cybertruck.
Dave,
The
vote of the week, more or less Cybertruck.
Yeah, we talking about the Elon Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. While Mav and I saw one, and he was not that interested, but I like taking pictures.
Really?
Are you less Cybertruck?
I'm really into it. Go ahead.
Of course you are, Dave.
Well, I thought I wasn't. I was really turned off by the design. And then I was watching the engineering video and listening to the designer talk about a lot of the engineering stuff that they've done with it. And there are so many aspects of it that are just truly impressive engineering. And the design is actually based on a lot of ideas, which I didn't realize they had based it on. It's like sort of a combo of the Lamborghini Countach from, the 80s, and then this sort of futuristic idea. And I guess like the thing that I really...
Are you sure this isn't like the revisionist history after Elon just drew something on a napkin?
No, they actually showed that step. They showed the step of the original drawing.
There was a video, Sam. It has to be true.
Yeah, they showed the original drawing, and it was actually, Elon was like, we're doing this. And they thought they were making a joke, the design team, and then he said, we're going to do this. But I guess the thing that I love about it is that wind tunnels and modern, EPA regulations have basically reduced car design to a big bunch of mid design. Like everything looks the same on the road. And so I kind of respect them for putting out just a completely different vision. And there is one aspect of the launch video which I thought was particularly genius, where they showed the Cybertruck racing a 911. And
yeah, I saw that too.
And then it turned out it was towing a 911. So, I don't know. I think the engineering is impressive and the design.
I think you guys were the first people I knew to own a Tesla.
Early adopters.
Really?
Yeah, you were early.
No, Ross
Here's
Barna
what I heard about the
owned
Cybertruck from someone who has it already, which is that the first list did this too. It states it has 300 miles, but then it's like it really like has 150. And apparently the Cybertruck is non-performant in the same way. So I'm not going to get a V. Well, Dave might get a V1. I'm not into it.
Rivian all the way.
It's like late 90s laptops where like we have 12 hours of battery life.
That's what I've heard.
Like, no, it's 40 minutes.
Jury's out.
Except it's your car. Well, guys, we should wrap. It's holiday party season, so Lesson's got to go get dressed up. Unfortunately, we can't come to your holiday party on Friday, but next year
it's beyond the range of our Cybertruck. That's the problem.
Aren't you running a marathon the next day, Sam? You've got a real excuse. Yeah,
I'm running a marathon on Sunday, which I've not trained for. We'll see how that goes. We'll check in on that next week.
I asked our trainer today what he was worried about in terms of your marathon and how I could support your recovery. And he looked at me and said, Advil.
Well, he told me I should have one Advil before the race, but not too many, so that I can feel it if I'm starting to get really hurt.
It's all about the ice bath.
Because I'm just running this without training it.
Yeah, I just this is we'll tune in next week for
Who knows?
Sam's knees
I will have
survive?
either finished a marathon or not, and we'll go from there. I ran, I did run 3 miles today, and it felt fine. So the marathon, I'm sure, will be no problem.
You got it, Sam.
I have faith in you. You're going to crush it. Okay, bye, Morins, and happy birthday, Brit. And to all our listeners, viewers, friends, enemies, people who don't like us,
I'm sure we have some enemies who listen.
Bye, everyone.
We know you're listening.
Especially to you guys. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed this show, please leave us a virtual high five by rating it and reviewing it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Find more information about each episode in the show notes and follow us on social media by searching for @MoreOrLess, @DaveMorin, @Lesson, @JLesson, and as for me, I'm @Brit. See you guys next time.